Just waiting for it to confirm here. There we go. All right. So this is a meeting of the Executive Committee, CSS Workforce, May 6th, 21. Present on the board is Jim Griffin, Tim Driscoll, Ernie Hartman, Jack Wheeler, Mike Mishuk. We do have quorum with 6 out of 7. Oh, and Joe Roman is joining us as well, so we'll have 6 out of 7. For guests on the staff, there is myself, Dan Porter, Phyllis Ballier, and Melissa Johnson. So we do have quorum, all present and accounted for. Jack, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Conflict of interest disclosure, as always, if something comes up, please note it. Meeting minutes of the April meeting, which Mel attached. Any questions? If not, can we get a motion, please?
I'll second Ernie's motion, Joe Roman.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, then the 2 items. Dan, you take it away.
All right, I got 2. I'd like to switch the order a little bit on these and give Judy a chance to join us before we jump into that one. Because that's really the main reason why we're having the meeting today is this one. So the business services report, this is how our contracts are going on OJTs and customized training. This has been sent out. I'm going to kind of go to the bottom here. You can see here so far on the OJTs, we've crossed the $100,000 barrier. This is the first time we've crossed that barrier since I've been back in 2016. So I'm pretty pleased with that particular. I'm excited about that actually. We do have a variety of companies, TTA, Boss, and Finley's Tall Timbers are kind of the big ones currently that are tapping back into our OJT account or our OJT grant funds. On customized trainings, we continue to have a good uptick on that. I'm going to kind of go to the bottom. We are at about $118,000 on total customized contracts. HP Hood came on board with a couple of them. I'm pretty pleased with that. Took us a while to get through some of their corporate stuff, but we're there. Hilliard's continuing the 5S. We've got some welding with Goodrich Auto. They've expanded operations over in Bath pretty good. They've added mechanical stuff, and I'd like to think that we've been part of training their staff to take on those new duties and grow their business. Miriam Technologies is brand new, and Jabil's back in the crowd. So it's been a while since we did anything down in that facility. So we're pretty pleased to be down there. So bottom line, about $225,000 written so far this year. I think Kelly was sharing this morning. She's got 7 more customized trainings and 2 more OJTs in the works. So it's going to be a very busy close for the year. Thank you. Just of note, down on the bottom, when you see the red in the lists, that means that we did not actually pay out on that contract, and that doesn't necessarily mean that the contract was a failure. What it means is we have to double check because of the prevalence of the Paycheck Protection Program that is out there, and because those are federal funds, we cannot allow double dipping, and so we have to make sure that we don't, we don't, to the extent possible, we don't let that happen. So we've had about $48,000 this year of contracts that the match came in under the Paycheck Protection Program. So we've only had about $3,000 of contracts actually not either come in under budget or not complete. So I'm pleased when you see the red on there. Don't be alarmed by that. It just means that we're doing our due diligence and making sure that we're double dipping. So I think we're going to close out strong on this front. Like I said, Kelly continues to get a bunch of things. If anyone on the committee knows of businesses that are hiring that are maybe not tapping into us, want to refer them, we certainly would love to chat with them. So any questions on that?
Questions for Dan? Well done. I mean, to you and staff, this is obviously, a lot of work and what we like to see happen. And it's been like you mentioned, a number of years, and Obviously, there's a lot of other external factors at play that influence it, but this is all good news in my opinion.
I forgot to mention one of our outstanding customized training contracts that still we're still going through the paperwork. It's going to have 150 employees in it, so it's that's
Wow.
going to be a big one. That'll be over in Chemung County.
Wow.
Hey, Dan, so anything on Hardinge?
Hardinge continues to work a little bit with us on that front. We've done, hold on, let me see. I think we did some Excel and stuff like that with them over there. Yeah, so we've done a couple of Excel rounds with them to help them kind of move their team forward on that front. They haven't come back for anything since then, but we have been in contact with Janine down there, and we're building out we're gonna try and use them as a pilot site to build out an internship program where we take young people from the STEM Academy and we'll provide them a paid internship after their senior year, but before they finish in college in the fall at Corning Community. So that's our two things with them.
All right, thank you, Dan.
Okay, any other questions for Dan? If not, could I get a motion to approve, please?
So moved, Jim Griffin.
Okay, motion.
Mike Mishek, second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried? All right.
So Judy didn't join us, so I will do this. So the Operations and Oversight Committee has been drafting up the RFP for the operator. They are very nearly ready to release. So one of the things that the Department of Labor wants is because this is going through a committee, they want to have kind of a second plate at the board, or in this case, executive committee, give them permission to release it so that the committee is not sending out a potential obligation of funds, particularly of this magnitude, without the board having the opportunity to be aware that the RFP was being released, which I don't know how it would work, but they feel that it's important. So I can't really talk a whole huge amount about RFP details in an open format because it'll compromise the competitive procurement stuff. So if we have a lot of questions on it, Mel can get us into a breakout room for a private session, an executive session. But in short, what the O&O committee has designed is another, and I'll do as much as I can, I think, without, and then I'll do my best to answer questions, and if we need to, we'll go elsewhere. So they are going to continue the 3-year methodology that we've done for the last few RFPs. So there's no major change there. The two primary areas are largely the same. They've added a few expectations in terms of accountability. They've also branched and changed a little bit on how the expectations in terms of FTEs and stuff like that of the operator, give them a little bit more flexibility. So I think they've done a nice job of mixing, some additional accountability, but also giving some additional flexibility. They've committed to, the same 3-year cycle, which has proven to be positive in terms of getting applicants for the RFP. The big thing is the total dollar amount here. And I should have, so I want to add this and give it as a lump sum number so that we're not, sorry, hold on. 0, 1. So the total amount over the 3 years, the potential maximum expenditure on this contract would be $1,110,000 over 3 years, and that would be for all operator things. That does represent a modest uptick, and it also has a little bit of a bump up each year to accommodate inflation, so that the staff of the agency, whatever agency wins it, can give raises to their staff. So ultimately, the motion that we'll need to have on the floor would be to that the executive committee authorizes the Operations and Oversight Committee to release an RFP not to exceed, $1,110,000 over 3 years, contingent upon, with the contract being executed contingent upon approval of the full board. So no matter what happens here, you're not saying that, giving Operations and Oversight full permission to choose and execute a contract on behalf of the board. All you're doing is giving them permission to release it, and acknowledging that you're aware of it.
I move we release the contract to let the operations, however you want to say it, good, I believe.
Is there any questions, any concerns on, from anybody on here? This is kind of a new thing that we have not normally done in the RFP cycle. So for some of you who've been around for a while, might be asking why the heck we're doing this. It's a new thing that we're being asked to do.
We have a motion. Could we get a second for discussion, please?
I'll second it, Joe.
Thank you. Yeah, Dan, like you said, haven't been around for, a few cycles of this. I don't have any concerns. I mean, I certainly, have faith in Judy and her group and staff in terms of putting this together. I think there's a number of different ways to slice it. So yeah, I don't have any concerns. If I missed it, I apologize, but do we have an expectation of return date that we're going to put on this?
We do. There's a timeline that's built into it. We are. I can't do the release dates too much because this gets posted on the internet. But it would allow significant or ample time to prepare the RFP and reply. Give the board realistically between Operations and Oversight and the board, we'll have almost 2 months to do a full review and vetting as well. So there'll be plenty of time. They've also allowed in their time frame, should we get a new operator, not carrying into the current one, should we have a successful applicant from outside, there is some overlap for transfer of knowledge and stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Good enough. Any questions or concerns for Dan? And again, if there's, really specific things that would impact, public disclosure of information that could, benefit potential bidders, we could certainly go into executive session. But if not, I guess we call the vote. One last chance. Any questions? Okay. If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Thank you all for that. I appreciate that. That's all we have as far as business today, other than the job fair went off last week. It was pretty big. I think I've sent out, well, not I think, I know I sent out the specific data that we have so far. Nothing new has been provided to us by the Department of Labor in terms of additional data sets to work with. All in all, it was a huge response on the part of businesses. Some of them didn't follow through. I don't know if you noticed the discrepancy in the number of businesses registered and those that attended on live day. We're not exactly sure what happened there, whether it was technology or what. So we're still exploring that a little bit with some phone calls. The number of job seekers, we had set an internal goal of about 1,000 people. We came shy of that at about 660, which I was both happy and disappointed. Happy because 660 was actually bigger than our last in-person regional job fair. So in that regard, I was pleased that we were able to get that out there, but sad that we didn't hit at least the 1,000 mark. We did have a very good participation rate amongst those that registered. Of the sites that have utilized the Department of Labor platform, we were the highest percentage of those registered versus those that actually attended. So I'm pretty pleased with that. I don't know, has anybody heard anything in the community from any, or even employers that are on here about the platform? We're gathering a lot of opinions. I just don't know I guess I'd love to have an opportunity, if any of you heard anything good, bad, or otherwise, about the concept, the technique.
My username for Microsoft, it wouldn't be my email. It would be Mick Kelly 2, MICKEL.
Hey, Jim, if you don't mind muting your teams, it looks like we can hear you. But Dan, and certainly everyone, chime in on what you've heard. I mean, the feedback that I've gotten has been very, very positive. So kudos to you and staff and everyone who participated. I guess my only question, then anyone please, jump in, is, I think obviously we're all learning lessons in kind of this virtual world that we're all having to navigate. Do you see any utility in this type of event in the future as opposed to, in person? What are your thoughts on that?
So here's where we're at. We have not abandoned in person, and we're actually meeting tomorrow, I think it is, but to start looking and planning out some in-person events and finding some employers. Obviously, the big cattle calls are not really viable yet, but smaller in-person, individual businesses or maybe a couple of businesses in like a tight geography. So we still plan to putting our toes in the water for the in-person this summer, and whatnot. But your first question is so staff. So we actually talked to this platform. License was donated, if you will, by Department of Labor, and there were some really good things. The price, but there were some really good things about this platform, and there were some things that were particularly troubling. So we actually set up a demo yesterday, as a matter of fact, with the platform vendors, and to get a kind of what does your platform actually do or don't do. And there's some additional functionality that was not offered up to us. The Department of Labor kept it kind of to themselves in Albany, keep control on stuff and whatnot. And I'm not throwing stones. That's what we learned. We also learned that some of the challenges of this site they're touted by the owner of this platform as a strength versus a weakness. We also talked to another competing platform just to kind of get a little more information on this. In short, yes, I think there is, and staff are still noodling, and we want to talk to one or two more purveyors, but I think I'm 99% sure you're going to see a request by the team, meaning really the broad team. We think some of the idea of having this virtual technology platform where employers can interact with job seekers without driving, without setting up a booth, without all of those things, we think there's some value there. Beyond that, particularly our youth program and some of our targeted populations programs, like the ODS program for the justice involved, and our CANF program, their minds really went when we saw some additional flexibility in the competing platforms. They really went. There was a level of excitement because they could see where having this virtual platform technology available to them could really start building and tying pieces of the program together, and in a way that trying to do it in person or even using like Zoom or Teams, we're not really able to do. Things like, a job seeker, if once they register in a platform, their resume would always be in there. And so they could effectively attend unlimited numbers of meet the employer and recruitment events without having to remember to bring resumes and things like that. Businesses could actually invest and build out their virtual booth to a degree that they didn't on this one-off round. Then they could attend. So you could have a business that could literally do little targeted recruitments for all these little subsectors, or decide not to. So we could activate their booth, deactivate their booth, and we could begin this. The technology would allow us to start doing some of the things that we've always wanted to do, but have struggled to do. So, for instance, we've always talked about wanting to do like college fairs, like 3 countywide college fairs. So you bring the local colleges together. You bring the high school students that are graduating together, and they do the college exploration. We talked about, I don't know if it was Kelly or Phyllis, but I thought it was a stroke of genius this day. Why can't we do an apprenticeship style job fair? We bring all the different places that have registered apprenticeships and whatnot. Why can't we have a little apprenticeship, exploration day, or job fair for that matter, or both? The staff really lit on to something, and certainly Phyllis, you were part of that conversation. If I'm missing something, but I think there's some real value. Now, it would require an investment. The stuff isn't cheap, but it's not. I don't think it's a crazy amount of money. So that's a really long answer to your question, Jack, and I apologize.
No. It's all good information. Obviously, it's one of those where I think everyone prefers in person. There's a level of comfortableness and more interaction, but in terms of engaging people and removing barriers and achieving some efficiencies, it seems like there's definitely some long-term utility in this. So that's good to hear that everyone's really strategizing on that. So all good on my end. Any other thoughts, questions for Dan and staff?
And there might be opportunities, honestly, for hybrid versions where you have an in-person day followed by a virtual day, or a virtual leading into an in-person day as well. As some of the other thoughts is how could we extend a job fair with virtual and in-person kind of combined? So
yeah, Ernie.
Yeah, Jack, I was the apprenticeship thing piqued my interest because the trades all have a problem with recruiting candidates for apprenticeship. And I know the Department of Labor has been on the trades to expand their recruitment platforms because back in the day, all they had to do was put an ad in the paper to meet the requirements. But now they're asking for more and more alternative ways of recruitment. Now, Dan, you said that the cost might be prohibited, but would it be allowable for, say, the electrical workers or the sheet metal workers to assist in paying for the platform?
Yes. I mean, one of the things that we could do is kind of cost share it out that way. And to be honest with you, the more non-WIOA money we get in this pool, the more flexibility we afford ourselves. Because one of the challenges with WIOA is we can't do the in-school college fair days. And there are certain things we can't do with WIOA funds, where if we had some, in whole or in part, non-WIOA funds mixed into this, then we could effectively open it up to all sorts of partnerships with, someone actually mentioned, some of the we could partner with the Chamber of Commerce to do a job fair specific to that chamber's membership. The doors swing wide open. So yes, there's the short answer, and everything I said was the long answer.
Okay, great. Any other questions or comments for Dan and staff?
Hey, Dan, this is Jim. I think that's very interesting, because I was going to ask you about, I know that the schools around here are saying they're graduating classes, about a third of them don't have a job when they get out. And so it's beginning to concern everybody. I mean, I'm sure our IDA chamber together would be more than willing to help support an effort to do this. I mean, I'm not sure, what that would be, but I like your ideas, and I think it needs to be done. I'm not sure how you fund it.
Well, the total, not just so everyone kind of knows, I mean, the two platforms we've talked to, the quote unquote unlimited option using the platform the DOL uses is about $27,000 a year. Their competing platform is about $15,000 a year. And I will tell you that the reason I say quote unquote unlimited is because they've got 10-day waiting periods and all sorts of things mixed in there. So there's only 365 days a year. You can only run one event at a time. You got a 10-day waiting period. I mean, do the math. You can't have more than 35 events over the course of a year, whatever those events may look like. The some of the other platforms, they're unlimited. You can have multiple events running. So you could have you could be recruiting for an apprenticeship job fair at the same time that you are doing a Western, Steuben, Cornell Chamber, summer jobs job fair, just for, because we could get into that business, where we could literally open it up to summer job types of things. So that's only 15,000. So I think there's a lot of, oh, we lost Griff. Somehow we lost you there, Jim. I'm sorry, but so the total nut on the cheaper, but I think actually more flexible platform is only about 15,000. So I think it's doable. Oh, the camera.
Yeah, that sounds great, and it sounds, not knowing anything, but knowing what some of the other virtual platforms that we use for different purposes, that 15 grand is pretty reasonable.
Well, that's what we were thinking, honestly. 15 grand, and we're covering 3 counties, unlimited stuff for the course of a year, and find other partners. I think it'd be very doable. So, and we may have some when we close out our PPP loan, we may actually realize a few unrestricted dollars. So it may be worth looking to even explore investing some of those dollars. So,
right.
If Ernie puts in 14, we'd put in 1,000. I tell you, all this time, my computer hasn't been hooked up. Finally just trying. Nice to see you.
So anyway, so watch for more on that. And probably by the next exec committee, I would expect the staff to have some thoughts on that, because they were very excited, and to the point of I had to kind of pull them back a little bit and tell them we got to get this down on paper and put a proposal. That's all I've got, Jack. You're welcome to or keep talking. It's up to you.
Yeah, no one needs to hear me keep talking. Anyone else have any thoughts, questions for Dan or staff, or any old business? If not, could we get a motion to adjourn, please?
I move we adjourn.
Got on just in time to motion, yeah.
We have a second?
Second.
All right. Motion second, all in favor? Aye. Carried. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah.